What's up, guys? Welcome back to Everyday Money. On this channel, we talk a lot about index funds and how they are awesome investments for the general public and even folks that invest in their own business or in real estate. It offers a very nice core investment that you can fire and forget, stick money in and just let it grow over time without having to spend a lot of time on it, researching different funds, different stocks, different investments, whatever. You just put your money out there and it goes to work. Now, I have always said that I like Vanguard's total market funds, either VTSAX or VTI, because they have broad diversification and they have very low expense ratios, no trading fees, etc. But I've recently started looking into Fidelity's Zero funds. Now, these are funds that they came out with, and they have 4 of them. They came out with them about 2018, and they offer zero everything. There is zero trading fees, zero expense ratio. There is no minimum to invest. And so I wanted to take a look at their total U.S. market fund that they charge zero for. Compare that to their other total market fund that they, I believe, charge a 0.015% expense ratio on, and then compare that to my VTSAX that is charged a 0.04% expense ratio. Look at the performance, see if this is something that's for real or some sort of a gimmick, because having 0% in zero fees and zero minimums is an awesome investment opportunity for folks, but I don't exactly see how it works for Fidelity, so we are going to dive into the numbers here on the screen and just take a look. Okay, so like we've done before on other videos, we're just going to get into the price and performance and fees of these different index funds and see how they stack up. So first off, we are going to start with the Fidelity Zero Total Market Index Fund. And this is going to be another U.S. total market fund, and they claim to have zero fees and zero expense ratio, and that is what it says here. As far as the expense ratio, gross and net, it is 0%. The minimum to invest is $0. And when we look at the performance of this, it lines up pretty well with what my Vanguard total market funds are doing. And last year it did about 20.28%. And without looking at the other ones, I know that the Vanguard funds were around 21% or something like that, and just the slight differences in the way that each financial institution runs these funds is going to be a little bit different, but it should be all within half or 1% year to year. Now, obviously, half or 1% makes a big difference if you're looking at fees or something, but when you're looking at these funds, they should probably even out over the course of 5 to 10 years with who's higher and lower in each particular year. So if we go over here to the performance tab of the Zero Total Market Index Fund, we can get more in depth on how this compares to their other total market index fund that has fees. Now, if you look at this down here, the calendar year total returns, obviously since this just started in 2018, there is no calendar year total return for 2018. So we can only really compare this to 2019, 20, and so far in 2021. And if you look at this, they pretty much line up to within a couple 100ths%. So I think that it pretty much matches the one that has charged fees so far. And I don't see any reason not to go with the Fidelity Zero Total Market Fund. But let's go ahead and switch over to their just standard Total Market Index Fund. This one also has no transaction fees, but it does have an expense ratio of 0.015%, which should be 15 cents annually per $1,000 invested into this fund. Now, this fund has been around for a lot longer. It's been around since 1997, so it has a very long track history. But as we can see here, the 1-year return is 20.5%. And then we can look farther out, because this fund has been around longer, to 3, 5, and 10 years as far as how it has done. We'll compare that to VTSAX, because I think that if you just would compare this total market index fund to the zero total market index fund from Fidelity, you can probably correlate or make the assumption that these will probably do almost identical. I wouldn't be surprised if these run on essentially the same algorithm. And we can see this total market index fund. We can look at the performance year by year. And then you can also compare it to like the Dow Jones US total market index, the large blend index that they have here listed. And as you can see, this follows the Dow Jones US total stock market index almost point for point. Let's switch over to the Vanguard total market fund. We've gone over this one quite a bit, and this is available in a mutual fund and an ETF. The mutual fund is VTSAX. The ETF is VTI. It's a bit alphabet soupy and gets kind of tongue twisting. And if you guys are into this and it's helping you out, be sure to hit that thumbs up for me. It really helps out in the YouTube algorithm. But the thing with the Vanguard VTSAX is it has an expense ratio of 0.04% and has a minimum investment of $3,000. And that can be a bit of a barrier to folks getting into the stock market. Now, the ETF, which is again VTI, has a minimum of just whatever one share is going for that day. And then both of these have additional minimums of at least $1. But the biggest difference that I think we're going to find between this fund and any of the Fidelity funds is going to be the expense ratio. Now, Vanguard funds, when traded through Vanguard, have absolutely no trading fees, so there's nothing different about that. But if we switch over here to the price and performance tab, we will be able to see the 1-year returns on this at 20.68%, 2-year or 3-year at 12.41, and 10-year at 13.5. And let's see if we can stack these side by side. So we're going to stick with looking at FSKAX in order to compare these two, because the FZROX just doesn't have the time frame necessary for us to get a good look at if these are the same. And so when you look at FSKAX versus VTSAX, you get very similar returns. Some years one is above the other by 1 or half a point, but otherwise things look to be pretty much in line with each other. You can look at the FSKAX and compare that to the Zero Fund, because I would imagine that they probably have very similar investing strategies for both of these funds, one just having fees and one not having fees. So like I've said before, I don't think it matters who you buy your index funds. As long as they're tracking the same type of index, you'll get the same approximate returns. What it really comes down to is the fees that you end up paying on these accounts. And these Fidelity Zero funds look pretty legit as far as being very low cost. I mean, no cost whatsoever. Now, Fidelity has 4 different funds. They have their total market fund, they have a large cap fund, they have a small and mid cap fund, and they have an international fund that all have 0 fees, 0 minimums, and 0 expense ratios to take a look at. Now, I don't know exactly how they're doing this. I suspect that this is a loss leader for them, such as like fuel points at your grocery store. It works kind of the same way. They want to get you in the store buying the products, and they don't mind if they lose a few cents a gallon on gasoline. I would assume that it's the same way for these guys, that they want to try to have you invest in these, but also get you into some more of their paid products. If this is your core investment, this total market fund or the large cap fund or whatever one you want to use for 0% investing, they are all good options. And to be honest with you, if you're just starting from scratch, brand new, and you don't have investments with any other institution right now, this is pretty much a no-brainer. Free is free, and if it's free, it's for me. Now, I probably won't be moving my investments out of Vanguard, because I will end up incurring a pretty hefty capital gain in order to sell those and move those over to a different investment company. But I may look at starting an account there and investing in Fidelity in the future. So give Fidelity Zero index funds a look. They look like they're very strong competitors to the low-cost benchmark Vanguard. And I'm not sure if Vanguard is going to respond to that in any way and change their fee strategy. I haven't heard anything about that, but who knows what happens in the world of business competition. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps it out in the YouTube algorithm. If you are not a subscriber yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button down there somewhere, I think, to grow your wealth, increase your success, put you on the road to financial freedom. Leave me a comment about what you think about these 0%, zero fee index funds versus whoever you may be with. If you're with Vanguard, I know that it's almost sort of like an Apple or a Tesla. It's almost kind of like a cult with Vanguard investors. But leave me a comment on what you think about that. I appreciate you guys watching today, and I'll see you in the next one.